Good day everyone, I am Reiji Chirosho, and today I will be discussing the well-being and upbringing and education of children. Educators are primarily concerned with the present and future well-being of children. In light of the well-being of the children, it is therefore not unexpected that philosophers of education have examined many aspects of and created ideas regarding family upbringing and education in schools or other comparable institutions. Plato, Aristotle, Pestalozzi, Rousseau, and Herbart are important philosophers of the past who employed a distinct terminology and produced divergent thoughts on what it means to live one's life and the foundation of these education philosophies. There are two primary ways of well-being. First, well-being as an aim of education, which first explores the characteristics of an adult who has well-being and then asks the question what the role of educators should be or how education can contribute to realizing well-being of future adults. Second, the well-being of the children when they are children, which begins with defining childhood well-being, which is also influenced by a conception of childhood and then explicates what is beneficial or detrimental to the well-being of children. Parents have the prime or legal right and duty to meet the needs of their children. Theories of well-being. This section describes three clusters of well-being. Theories that are defended by philosophers and can be found in other academic disciplines as well, namely subjective, objective, and mixed theories. See for instance Huppert and So 2030. These theories provide not only a definition of well-being, or for instance, that well-being means that a person's desires are satisfied, but also make normative claims about the way in which people can best enhance their well-being, or in our case, what educators best to do to enhance the well-being. There are three clusters of well-being. First, we have subjective well-being. Second, we have the objective well-being. Third is the mixed well-being. Subjective well-being. A subjective theory in which human well-being doesn't have these hedonic connotations is the informed desire theory. There are two main types of subjective well-being. First, ones that focus on positive feelings or emotions, which people need to fulfill the desires that benefit their interests. This requires reflection on the present desire, taking into account all the other desires she has and can predict she will have, as well as willpower to fulfill the desire beneficial to their interests. Second is the ones that focus on the interest of people, which the desire include longings that are not related to an appetitive state or whose fulfillment does not give psychological satisfaction. For instance, the desire of parents to look after their chronically ill child and give up the prospects of a career or a rich social life may contribute to their well-being, while it does not make them particularly thrilled. Second, we have the objective well-being. According to objective theories, persons live a life of well-being if they realize goods that are deemed to be objectively good for all people, or if they develop or have developed their human capacities to the full. According to Neo-Aristotelian virtue ethics, which is currently the most dominant objective theory within philosophy of education, to flourish is to fulfill one's potential as a human being, according to Christianson 2015, page 13. Christianson describes flourishing as an ongoing activity that constitutes the realization of human excellences. Example, virtues of character and thought. Virtues are constitutive of human flourishing, but not sufficient, as persons also need luck. Satisfaction of positive emotions are not regarded as necessary for flourishing. While being a virtuous person may be accompanied by positive emotions, these are the icing on the cake. Lastly, we have mixed well-being. Mixed theories of well-being combine an objective standard as proposed by the objective theories with the subjective theories claim that satisfaction with one's life is necessary. John White defends a particular version of a desire fulfillment theory in which the values on which well-being rest are intersubjective. He defines well-being or a flourishing life as a life spent in wholehearted and successful engagement in worthwhile relationships and activities while rejects the informed desire theory of well-being on the basis that people may be mistaken in their beliefs of they should desire, even if people fulfill desires that are wholeheartedly felt, autonomously chosen and reflected upon on the basis of the relevant information, and feel happy, they still may not live flourishing life. Zero Rater 2015 begins with the assumption that human flourishing requires the actualization of goods, among which health and social relations, intellectual, creative, and physical pursuits. However, these objectively identifiable goods are general and therefore require a personal interpretation. To be general and to be able to give a personal interpretation, a person needs to optimally develop her human potential. Example, her physical, cognitive, emotional, social, and moral, or even the creative capacities. The writer suggests that it is necessary that people are satisfied or content with the life they live. The way in which they express their capabilities or capacities has to be worthwhile and meaningful to them. This does not mean that they are happy all the time, but they are in general or overall content with their lives. The education and well-being. The relation between education and well-being as an aim of education and the enhancement of the well-being of children by educators. Well-being as an aim of education. The theories of well-being lead to different ideas about what parents and teachers should do to assist the development of children towards a happy or flourishing life. Furthermore, a difference can be made between the upbringing by parents and the education of teachers. Positive emotions theories propose that parents and teachers need to discover which qualities children should develop that will give them the most happiness as adults. Informed design theory suggests that the responsible adults need to assist children to become good choosers who are able to decide what course of action is in their long-term interest. Neo-Aristotelian virtue ethicists argue that parents and teachers should enhance the flourishing to become good choosers. White and De Ruyter have proposed educators to introduce children into objective goods by presenting them with knowledge and the opportunity to experience good relationship and worthwhile activities. Present a framework of values to children with which they can evaluate what is worthwhile to pursue, assist the development of capacities and dispositions that could be called virtues, and to discover which values they can underwrite and which activities and relations are satisfying to them by giving them freedom to explore. Sigmund 2012, for instance, suggests that the question which knowledge is instrumentally valuable. Example is the obscure and possibly meaningless. Whitehead, she argues that schools should teach about life in all its manifestation and see the acquisition of knowledge as an intrinsically valuable in which well-being has a central place. Christianson 2015-2016 and Suiza 2009 have similar objections to the instrumental value given to the development of virtues and moral dispositions. Well-being of children when they are children. The danger of thinking of well-being as an aim of education is that one might begin to perceive of childhood as a phase of life that is only instrumental to the well-being that one can obtain later in life. Chaos 2015 calls intrinsically valuable qualities of children, for instance, children's superior ability to learn and their exceptional mental flexibility that gives them better imagination ability. But it would be wrong, according to Gaius, to see childhood as instrumentally valuable or having value only in light of a stage that one needs to go through to become an adult. Friedhoff, in a historical overview of conceptions of childhood, aptly notes as a historical category, the child is always invention by others, its discoverers or inventors. Children have not discovered themselves. Both facts and values lead to beliefs about children, what they need, what they are able to do, the amount of freedom that is good for them, and the influence they should have on their own development in families and schools and society at large scale of numbers. According to the informed design theory, well-being requires that a person reflects on the desires she has in the light of her long-term interests. Children cannot serve their well-being in this sense when they are young. Smith, for instance, fears that activities that we demanding and painstaking will be excluded because they can have a negative influence on the happiness of children. Activities such as the close regarding of world literature or solving challenging mathematical or logical puzzles can, however, be important for the development of children. Moreover, the focus on the happiness of children takes away attention from the things that we accomplish and in which we take pride, not in ourselves. All in all, according to Smith, a focus on positive emotions does no kind of justice to the variety of what we pursue, value, and find worthwhile. In this moment, we will be tackling the policy, governments, and society. The well-being of children during their childhood as well as their well-being in the future requires an environmental in which they are able to thrive, a safe neighborhood, caring communities, motivating leisure groups, and a safe and just society. Education for future well-being and the well-being of children requires an active role of the state. The state has a legal duty to ensure that children's welfare rights are met. The state can also contribute to the flourishing of children through the education in schools. Funding schools that provide high-quality education to all children is certainly conducive to the well-being of children. States can implement policy that promotes the well-being of the children instead of and only those who belong to the wealthy segment for the majority population. The content and justification of the policies require reflection from the perspective of well-being theories. The focus of the well-being has been criticized for being too individualistic. Parents and schools should also equip children to help others to live a life that is personally flourishing, to phrase it in Rice and White's terms. States do have to reflect on the conception of well-being underlying the policies and the effects of young citizens. Thus, there is still much work to be done in reflecting conceptions of well-being, the implications for upbringing, education, and state policy.